Welcome to Next on the Tee with Chris Mascaro, the show where you get the inside access to the best minds in the game. Each week, Chris has the privilege of chatting with top instructors, legendary players, course architects, and industry insiders. If you're looking to improve your game, gain a new perspective, or just hear some incredible golf stories, you are indeed in the right place.
You see, Chris, let me tell you something, I haven't spoken to a press man in my life that is knowledgeable, seriously, as you are. Never.
You do such a great job. It kind of makes me feel good all of a sudden.
You do so much for the game. You're so kind to all of us that are out there in the game. You know, we need more people like you in the game of golf.
Thank you for pressing play. Now, grab your clubs, step up to the tee, and let's get started. This is Next on the Tee.
Hey, folks, and welcome into this edition of Next on the Tee, where golf legends live and your game gets better. I'm your host, Chris Mascaro, and as always, I'm so grateful that you're here, that you pressed play, and that you're taking the journey with me again today. I've got two outstanding guests lined up for you on this episode. One of my all-time favorite people in this game, plus one of the most respected sports journalists of our time. So you know what? Settle in, because we're going to improve your golf mind, we're going to sharpen your game, and then dive headfirst into some big-time sports conversations. Now, leading things off is someone who means a great deal to me, not just as a guest, but as a person, and that is LPGA Top 50 instructor Debbie O'Connell. She is back with me again on this episode. As you guys remember, Debbie is an LPGA Class A teaching professional, and once again for 2026-27, she's been named a Top 50 LPGA instructor. Over the course of her career, she's earned just about every honor you can imagine. She's the founder of Golf Positive, which you guys know I love, and always makes this segment so much fun and informative. This time around, we talk about her upcoming Conquer Your Golf Mind session. So if you're really determined to get over the mental hurdles this year, Debbie is ready to help all of us. And she's got a special discount for my listeners to attend that session at an insanely cheap price. Spoiler alert, the cost is barely more than a dozen premium golf balls these days. She'll provide a discount code for all of us at the end of the conversation. Beyond that, Debbie gives us some practical tips that you're going to be able to take straight to the course this weekend. And if you're like me and you struggle getting out of greenside bunkers, she's got a tip. If you've labeled a club in your bag, one that you can't hit, or you've got that hole that always gets in your head, Debbie's going to help us get over both of those things as well. We also talk about forward shaft lean, rotating for power instead of trying to go out there and buy distance, and why the words we say to ourselves out loud matter more than we think they do. She always leaves us better than she found us, and I'm excited she is back with me again this week. Then following her, one of the great sports journalists and authors of our time, Chad Finn, returns. Chad is a longtime reporter and columnist for the Boston Globe, a top 100 follow in sports according to Sports Illustrated, and he's a multi-time Epi Award finalist. His work is featured daily in the Boston Globe and on Boston.com. If you follow Boston sports, you guys then know who Chad Finn is. He and I start by going back to about something that is near and dear to both of our hearts. The 1980 U.S. Olympic hockey team, and where the Miracle on Ice ranks among the greatest sports moments in history. If you're in New England, most people love the Patriots. If you live anywhere else, probably not so much. Well, Chad and I break down the Super Bowl. We look back at that. We look at the Patriots season, Drake Maye's performance in the Super Bowl and this season, and was their success a product of a weak schedule? You hear what Chad thinks about all of those things. He also shares his thoughts on where they might go in the upcoming draft in April. From there, we head down to Fort Myers as the Red Sox open training camp. Chad weighs in on whether Red Sox GM Craig Breslow has done enough this offseason so the Red Sox can compete in the AL East. What the roster puzzle looks like with Yoshida and Roman Anthony, Abreu, Duran, so much depth on that team. What does it mean for them and their success this season? Plus, I ask him whether the hype around Roman Anthony, is that going to be a heavy weight on his shoulders throughout the season? Plus, we revisit some of Chad's outstanding books chronicling the history of the Red Sox and the Boston Celtics as well. So, folks, it's a full show packed with insight, perspective, and stories that you're going to love. So sit back, relax. Let us take everything else off your mind for the next hour or so. Okay, but before we get into all of that, I want to start off by giving a shout out to my great friends over at the Trib. TribLive.com is the leading news website in Western Pennsylvania, with news around the clock, Pittsburgh pro sports coverage, a high school sports network, and a podcast network, which is where you can find Next on the Tee. Bookmark TribLive.com or download the Trib Live app for free and stay up to date with the latest news from Western Pennsylvania and beyond. I also want to talk about our friends over at the Pittsburgh Brewing Company and Iron City Beer, a brand that I have loved my whole life and started drinking when I was 21 years old, of course. Whether you're a hacker or a scratcher, the secret to a successful day on the links is knowing when it's time to grab an iron, even if that means keeping it in the bag till the 19th hole. If it's been a while since you've reached for Pittsburgh staple beer, it's time to revisit Iron City. Thanks to their incredible new facility in Creighton, the best-tasting Iron City beer ever made is now available at a course near you. Iron City pairs well with any lie and sky and serves as a friendly reminder that there's always next round. And because it's never too early for chocolate, their double chocolate Bock is back for the season, and it's the perfect companion for a cozy winter evening. Check out all of their wonderful beers and their gift shop online by going to pittsburghbrewing.com. And this year, get ready to experience a game like never before at the Keep, the brand new Bill Bergen and Reese Jones co-designed course at Macklemore. Nestled high atop Lookout Mountain, the Keep offers breathtaking vistas that are made even more spectacular as the autumn colors paint the landscape in rich hues of red, orange, and gold. With its challenging layout and awe-inspiring views, every round here is an unforgettable adventure. Whether you're taking on the signature holes or just soaking in the scenery, the Keep is where your best golf meets nature's finest backdrop. So grab your clubs and join us up at Macklemore. The Keep is open and it's waiting for you. Now next on the tee with me, as you guys know, is not only one of my all-time favorite guests, but also one of my favorite people on the planet, and that is Debbie O'Connell. Let me remind you about Debbie's background. She is a LPGA Class A teaching professional, and again for the 2026-27 year, she has been named a top 50 LPGA instructor. Going back to 2002, she was named both the LPGA National Professional of the Year and the LPGA Southeast Section Professional of the Year as well. 2007, she was the inaugural Nancy Lopez Golf Achievement Award winner, which is given annually to the person who emulates the qualities valued by Nancy, which are leadership, passion, giving, and approachability. In 2016, she was named the Northeast Section Teacher of the Year. She is founder of Golf Positive, which you guys know I love, where she offers multimedia golf tips and articles to enhance both your golf game and your life. She's written a wonderful book titled Golf Positive, Live Positive, Lessons in Golf and Life, which you can get out on Amazon or listen to on Audible. She's got a great program coming up with a special discount for our listeners, which we're going to get into here in just a few minutes. And I'm so excited. I get to spend some more time with her this week here on Next on the Tee. Hey, Debbie, how are you, my friend?
I am fantastic. Every time I'm with you, Chris, you just brighten my day. This is a pleasure for me to be here.
And Debbie, it was great getting to see you again at the PGA Merchandise Show. It's always inspiring when I get an opportunity to actually sit down with you face to face and learn about the things that you're out there doing. While you were there, what were some of the things you got to be a part of at the show?
You know what's interesting, Chris? This is the first time ever I did not actually walk the floor.
Really?
I am now, yeah, it was crazy. The days got away from me. I am now the president of the Northeast section of the LPGA. And I ended up, whether in meetings or talking with my fellow LPGA professionals or sitting in seminars and learning, going to awards ceremonies. It was actually a wonderful PGA show in terms of the connection and the relationship, seeing you, so many great things happen. And when I was leaving the show, I said, oh my goodness, I didn't do one thing I absolutely love doing at the PGA show is walking the floor, looking at all the merchandise, talking to the sales professionals and learning about their products. So I've had to do more of that online this year.
So, okay. So you're down there now. You're leading the Northeast section of the LPGA. What are some of the great things the section's doing and your help lead them to?
Well, we are, working on engagement first, right? You have an organization with, in the LPGA, 2,000 people in our Northeast section. We have, getting close to 300, and not everyone's engaged. So that's a big part of it, communicating, getting in involvement and engagement. We're working on more education and more in-person event. We've run tournaments. But a big thing we want to do is elevate our members. And we're looking to possibly produce a digital magazine called Northeast Golfer and hook that up with videos on YouTube for Northeast Golfer. So that is in the planning stages. And we're hoping to launch that in probably the second quarter of the year. It's very exciting to elevate and then to help more students, right? If we can communicate with more of our students, we want to grow the game. And that's a huge focus. Yeah. So many of our members, like I do run a girls golf program, and we're constantly looking to grow the game. We teach amateur golfers, men and women. We have collegiate coaches. So we're constantly looking to grow the game and help people improve their game, whether the physically, mentally, golf fitness, performance skills, all of it. And we found another avenue that we may be able to do that with a digital magazine, brought to you by LPGA teaching professionals.
That's awesome. And you do such a wonderful job, Debbie, over the course of your career, and a lot of the things that you're a part of and that you promote, bringing more women into our game. We're seeing an explosion of women into our game going back since 2019. Talk about some of the things that you're doing to help grow the game with that respect.
Well, it starts at the young age, the girls golf program. I've been doing my program for over 10 years now in New Jersey. It's a greater Union area. We're at Galloping Hills, if anybody knows the area, right off the Parkway. And it's always, what exit are you in on the Parkway? So that's really empowering. And then the Leadership Academy I've shared here. We bring teenage girls in. We teach them leadership, self-empowerment, help them become more confident. We teach them indoors, and then we go outside and we implement it using the game of golf. Because as we know, golf brings a lot of challenges, right? It brings up the fears, the doubt, the negative thinking, and then we have to change it, the challenges, the ups and downs. And we help teenage girls with that. And they are in golf, and now they love the game even more because they're in a more confident state as they play. And then I run corporate golf outings. I run outings for Deutsche Bank and CME Group. I've done in the past indoor in simulators for Morgan Stanley. I've done a Golf 101 for EY, where I literally, Chris, you'll love this, carrying my big staff bag through Times Square. And with all the people, I'd be like playing through, and every once in a while I'd throw out, has anybody seen my golf ball? And I'd go in, and it was an after work time. And then I did one at lunch, and we did a Golf 101 indoors. I brought mini clubs, so I had them all in their setup and stance. We worked on the swing and all the different techniques, and they started to understand more about it, and also the power of using golf for business. So those are the ways I am helping to grow the game even more and get more women involved. And as you said, it's changing. How many young girls who are juniors now? I think it's about 35% of junior golfers are girls, and that's transferring into how many women are playing, because we have hit over 1 million girls in girls golf, and our goal now is the next million. We'll keep growing the game.
You mentioned golf for business a moment ago, and you have a relatively new business venture that you've started, which is Business Golf Live. Talk about that and what that's all about.
But as we know in business, it's all about relationships. If you want to just make some transactions, well, just make the transaction and be a salesperson. But if you want long term, if you want to build 7-figure and 8-figure incomes and businesses, it's about relationships and networking. There's a saying, your net worth depends on your network, right? And you can develop a deeper level of trust so much faster in a round of golf. And they say, the studies show it takes 7 hours to build a deep, trusting relationship with a person. And imagine trying to do that by inviting a CEO or an executive to dinner, 5 times, right? To spend the time, or 4 times, or get on their calendar at all. When you invite them for one round of golf, because of the journey you go on, the ups and downs, the challenges, the celebrations, and the shared experience of golf helps to deepen the relationship quicker, not to mention the actual quality time you can have in conversation. And when you know how to use golf effectively, asking the right questions, and really not selling on the golf course, not talking business, unless the person is really pushing you. It's really about the relationship. When you focus on relationships, the sales will come, the business will grow.
So I'm assuming those are a lot of the things, a lot of the aspects, a lot of the techniques that you teach when someone signs up for your business golf live course.
Yes, and we have certain strategies. We have one called the country club conversion, where you have an event at a country club, and we take you through the nuts and bolts of that particular event, and truly do teach you. I'll give a simple example right now. We use the word tips, right? We give tips, right? And it's to ensure, like insurance, to ensure proper service. So one of the strategies we teach is when you are going to invite some clients, what you'll do is go to the course beforehand, find out who's working, and give them the tip beforehand. Let them know, hey, I have these really important people coming. Here's a picture and here's their name. I want them to feel extra special when they arrive. Do you think you can do that? Hey, great. Here's a tip you can give them. So to ensure proper service. So when you are proactive and you are thinking of your potential client or the person with whom you're developing a relationship, how can you make that experience better than anyone else has? How can you go the extra mile so that they know, gosh, if you're going to make that effort here, what will you do for me when I'm your client? Right? It sends that message of going the extra mile.
Speaking of teaching us, like I mentioned a moment ago, you have one of your Conquer Your Golf Mind sessions coming up on February the 18th. Remind everybody about what those are and the things you talk about there.
Well, we all know golf is a mental game, right, Chris? And people will say it. They'll say, oh my gosh, yeah, my mental game. I get in my own way, or I blew that. And they know it's that they did it themselves. Their mindset, the emotion, the tightness they felt in their body. So many things can get in the way. Their actual thoughts. If we think about it, I want golfers to think about, how do you talk to yourself before a round of golf and during a round of golf and after a round of golf? I mean, some of that would be like X-rated. You wouldn't say that out loud, and you would never say those things to anyone else. So it's starting to examine those kinds of things. And in order to conquer your golf mind, we want to understand what's in the way. People would ask me, Debbie, what's your teaching philosophy? And I would say, I help people get out of their own way, whether it's physically with performance, getting in a really good setup, or what I love to focus on is the mental game, because it's the mental game that makes us tight. It's the mental game that has us block the shot to the right because we were tight coming through impact. That feeling of having to be perfect on the golf course totally gets in the way. So we help switch it from, let's focus on progress and not perfection. What is it in your life that makes you feel like you have to be in control of the club and controlling the outcome? And we understand that at a deeper level, and also give strategies and tips to help you break through so that you can stay calm and confident and in the moment. Imagine stepping up to every shot with confidence. Imagine being able to stay in the present moment. I have interviewed so many very successful tour players, and I asked them, what was the key coming down the stretch of a particular tournament? And I imagine you've asked a similar question, Chris. And every time, 100%, it was staying in the present moment, one shot at a time. Well, our brain has a challenge there because it defaults to, protecting you and wanting to be in control. It defaults to the things that get in the way of your success. We want to let it go, be free, allow yourself to make your best swings, especially in those pressure situations. So when you conquer your golf mind, you step up with confidence, belief, you visualize that shot and you step in and commit to it, and you know you can succeed. And that's what I love. I love to take people to the next level. I have hundreds of students where they have played their best golf, and I didn't work on their swing technique at all. We focused on their mental game.
So let's take that a step further, Debbie. Kind of the post-shot negative reaction that a lot of us have. We'll slam the club down if we hit a poor shot. We tell ourselves that we suck. The more we do that, the more that gets embedded into our brains. Talk about how dangerous our negative words are when our brain hears our own voice being the one who says them.
Well, your brain is listening. It's like you're just putting information into a computer, right? It's listening to, you're telling it, and it goes, oh, okay. It just believes you. It's going to give in to you. It's not going to say, you know what, that's not a good thought, and that's not going to help us going forward. It just says, oh, I guess I do suck. And what I love to do is figure out, what is the meaning you put to the bad shot? Right. So that's why we get so emotional. I've coached people who get incredibly angry at a bad shot. And they were so angry because when they were a kid, if they did something wrong, they were really in trouble, or their parents would get so angry at them. And they had fallen into the same pattern of, if I don't do it well, I get angry, and I get angry at myself. So we want to understand, well, what's the meaning you put to that bad shot? I'm a failure? Does it mean I suck? We want to know what's going on unconsciously and then help you shift that, where a bad shot can just mean, hey, I tried my best. Let's go get it. Here's a challenge. Oh, gosh, here's a challenge. Let me step up and still make a par on this hole. Or let's see if I can save this hole. If we step up and make it a challenge instead of a failure, it's a huge difference, right? And that's just the meaning you put to it. So when we take it back a step, and then there's a bunch of techniques. I have one gal, she came up with the words, "That's interesting." So ball goes offline. She said, "That's interesting." Instead of, she was one of them who would get so angry at herself.
Debbie, along those same lines, we oftentimes attach a stigma to a club. It could be, I can't tell you how many times I've heard my buddy say, I can't hit my insert club here, right? I can't hit my 6-iron. I can't hit my driver. That gets embedded. I also have folks that have a hole on the course that they play. Boy, I just can never hit the fairway. I can never not go in the woods on this hole. When we attach a stigma to something like that, how do we get over that? How do we kind of erase those demons, if you will?
Oh, absolutely. That is such a great question. Visualization is a huge part of it. Like, have you ever hit that club well? Right? One time. Have you ever, whether it's on the driving range or on the golf course, have you had success on that with that club in your hand at some point? And if the answer is yes, it's focusing more on that shot than the ones that didn't go well. Because here's the thing, and I've heard people say this. And a lot of times it's with a 3-wood, right? Oh, I can't hit my 3-wood. I can't hit my 3-wood. Have you ever hit it well? Well, yeah, I've hit it sometimes. And then they take out a club I love the 7-iron, and they hit it poorly. But that doesn't impact them because they believe so strongly they love that club. Right? So it's after, you miss a shot, it's forgiving yourself, right? And then actually focusing on the times you've hit it well. So visualizing those shots. So if you've ever hit it well, a memory is really strong in terms of refocusing it, bringing it back to the present, and helping you gain confidence. So if you have a memory of that and feel the emotion of it, so you put emotion with the visualization, looking through your own eyes, hit that shot, and then keep imagining hitting that shot well. And then now go forward into the future, see yourself on the course hitting the shot well. Your brain truly does not know the difference between whether you're actually hitting that shot or you're just imagining it. And it's the same thing for that hole. I had one of those holes, number 7 on at the Gold Course at Martin County Golf and Country Club. And it was for years. It was when I was early on in my golf career. That 7th hole, I would slice it into the trees on the right, I'd say 19 out of 20 times. and I would feel the tension walking to the tee. So deep breaths are important, and a small specific target is important. And then realize that really it's a big fairway. Picture how many golf balls you could fit across the fairway. And then it gets back to the self-talk, right? We're going to go up there with deep breaths, visualize the shot to that specific target, and then I've got this. I can do this. Which if you are getting golf videos, the PGA Tour just posted the video of Amy Bockersteady on the 16th hole of the waste management again. That was, I think, 10 years ago. And if you don't know that story, it was Amy, the gal with Down syndrome, who played that 16th hole. And I'm sure all of your golf fans were watching the 16th hole and the waste management event, which was incredibly exciting as always. And the sprint to that 16th hole is crazy in the morning. People wait at the gates till they open, and then it's this race to get a seat on the 16th. But Amy was the one who played that par 3. The PGA shared that video again because it was 10 years ago. And what you heard Amy saying was, I've got this. I can do this. And she just enjoyed the moment and embraced the moment. That's the other part, Chris. Embrace the moment. When you step on the tee, whether it's that hole that you had struggled with in the past, or the first tee with a big, exciting event, or coming down the stretch and on the last tee with a chance to win or shoot your lowest score, embrace the moment. It's where you want to be. So embrace it and enjoy it, and allow yourself to take that breath, relax, get your target, visualize the ball going there, and then step in with that confidence and positive self-talk.
You posted a video, speaking of tension and visualizing the shot. I mean, the place that I struggle with the most, Debbie, and my stress level goes through the roof, is when I hit one into the sand. I'm not a great bunker player. I hit one into the sand. Now the whole drive or walk up to the bunker, in my head, I'm thinking how much I'm going to dread this next shot. And then I get full of that tension, and all of a sudden, I'm sort of lost in my swing, and now it's going to go who knows where. How do you actually kind of calm the mind? I mean, you talk about visualization. If you're not like me, you're not a great bunker player, how do you visualize? Do you go to a place where you've seen somebody else hit a great bunker shot? How do you do that so that when you get to your nemesis shot, if you will, you can overcome it?
I love the question. And one, I want you to start by saying, I have the greatest opportunity to improve in my bunker, or I'm getting better in my bunker, or, quit saying I'm not a great bunker player. First and foremost, that for any of you out there, if there's a certain shot or a certain club you struggle with, quit saying you're not good at it. Even the putters, I'm a terrible putter. Well, let's say we're free from that and say, hey, I'm improving in my putting. I'm improving in my bunker play. Or I have the, sometimes I'll just smile at someone and say, well, you have the greatest opportunity for improvement here. So now at least your brain's hearing the improvement part. So that's for one. Let's get that language out right now. Great question. And there's a lot of people who do that, and you continue to talk yourself into it. Remember this, your brain is listening, and it's just taking instruction. So that's a number one. So now, okay, so you're in the bunker. All of a sudden, your first reaction is going to be, right? And then the second part is the tightness starts to happen. Right. So let's interrupt that first reaction. Go, all right, I can do this. Like, what if we change? Oh, that's interesting in the bunker. Hey, I have an opportunity to get better. I have an opportunity to make a great shot. Right? So think of it more as an opportunity than a disaster.
Yeah.
So switch your mindset immediately. And then, you say, as I'm walking into it, you know what I would love for you to do? And think of a walk-up song and play it in your head.
Yeah.
as you're stepping in the bunker, have, like, you know how they introduce athletes coming out, like basketball players, they or baseball players, when they're coming up to the plate, they may play a song, and it's their walk-up video, their walk-up song, and then they might dance to it, or they just get the crowd going. I want you to think, Chris, like, of a walk-up song for you. So now as you're stepping towards the bunker, get that walk-up song going and make yourself laugh. And always to calm yourself and get more relaxed, gratitude, besides a deep breath is always great. Like 4 counts in, a long breath out, 6 to 8 seconds. But if you go to gratitude, oh my God, I love this game. I'm so grateful that I get to hit the shot. I'm grateful I can see, hear, walk, talk. What are you grateful for? Feel the gratitude, and you literally can't be stressed and thankful at the same time. And then add a little walk-up song and just kind of chuckle at yourself. And then we get into the routines, right?
Yes.
And if you need a new routine, do something different. I'd say change it up. You know, one of the things we can do is do anything different. That's why I suggested like a walk-up song in your head and kind of step in with a little beat.
I love that. You also recently posted something about how added distance doesn't come from going out and buying the newest set of clubs. It comes from improving your body's ability to rotate with power. How do we do that?
Oh, that's a great question. Golf Forever is something I've been using, and that really helps. So rotating with power. There's parts of your body that need stability and strength. You know, like think of in your backswing as you turn on to that rear leg, you want to be stable on there, but you need flexibility and mobility, like in your ankles through the golf swing. You want that, be able to turn and have that flexibility in your back. So there's parts, and then you want that strength, you want that core strength as well coming through. So there's different parts of your body. The more flexible you can get where we need it and create mobility and then have the stability, the better, which means a bigger shoulder turn, which is way bigger than your hip turn. You know, there's percentages and stuff we can talk, but what we want to have is just think of it as a bigger shoulder turn. So your back's to the target and your hips will turn some, not as much, because we want to have a difference. Then starting your hips forward without your shoulders moving first. And that's where most amateurs struggle in the transition, because the tendency is to use your upper body first to start the club down, because our hands are holding onto the club, which is closest to our upper body. And when we go after it that way, that kind of causes that over the top swing. Also, it's not going to go as far because we're not using our lower body. Every great player has the same sequence in the forward swing, where it starts from the lower body and unwinds going up. So we want to make sure those hips, the lower body, the base, and then the hips turn towards the target before the upper body. And then it's the thoracic spine, the middle of your body, and then the chest, and everything else comes through following. Rory McIlroy is the fastest turning forward with his hips, and also the quickest to stop. It's kind of like, have you ever had a wet cloth and snapped it? Right? Yeah. So our hip moves fast, and then it stops. To get the snap, you actually stop. So it's driving those hips and then hitting against that solid left side. So you want that stability and strength in that left leg as you're coming through. So that's a lot of information, and don't any of you dare think about all of that when you're swinging the club. Please do not. But it's just, to say it simply, your shoulders turn back and then your hips lead the way coming through. And then in the middle of that, relax. That I think tightness, whether it's a tight grip or tight in your shoulders, the tightness in your body is slowing the club down the most. When you are holding on too tightly, you're putting the brakes on the whole time. Your club head can travel so much faster if you just loosen your grip. And here's a great tip. On your glove hand, so the target side hand, usually your weaker hand, right-handed golfers, who I'm talking about your left hand, left-handed golfers on your right hand. The pinky and ring finger on that glove hand can squeeze a little tighter So you know you have it, especially someone who needs to feel like they're in control. Squeeze with those two, because that tightens the muscle on your forearm that's underneath. The ones on top need to be relaxed to get the most speed in your swing. So it's power, it's mobility, and it's getting out of your own way mentally and physically to relax enough to allow your club head to swing with speed.
Debbie, just a couple more before I let you go. And you posted a picture last summer, and we talked a little bit when we saw each other at the show. But you were at PNC Park last year, and you've got a relationship in your family to the Pittsburgh Pirates. And as you know, this show is on the homepage of the sports section at the Pittsburgh Tribune Review. Share the story of how you're connected to the Pirates.
My uncle, Danny O'Connell, got his big break into the major leagues with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And in 2025, it had been 75 years earlier. So in 1950, he had O'Connell on the back of this shirt and number 11. And was so neat for me, I didn't realize he was number 11 when he first came to the major leagues. That was the number I wore. And our family went, we've got T-shirts made and we wore his number. And I'm sure people were like, well, who's number 11? But we had a great time celebrating him. And my uncle is my dad's brother, a phenomenal baseball player. He played with Hank Aaron. He played with Willie Mays, was very good friends with Willie Mays throughout his career. Incredible man. And he always, I didn't get to meet him. I mean, I met him, but he passed away when I was 2. So I've gotten to know him through people who knew him, but, not just our family, but others who knew him. And they said he was just incredible. And talk about a great mindset. My golf coach knew him, my very first golf pro. And he said, your uncle was a winner. He wasn't that great a golfer, but he'd step on the course and he'd win. He'd beat you. He was just so good mentally, very strong. But the Pittsburgh Pirates, and what a trip we had there to celebrate him, to celebrate his career, and to be so grateful that Pittsburgh gave him the opportunity and brought him to the major leagues.
Debbie, before I let you go, remind everyone again about your Conquer Your Golf Mind session, how they can sign up, plus save a little money.
Yeah, and if you want to end the doubt, the frustration, the things we talked about, the club that you struggle with or have the most room for error, that hole, if you want to come down the stretch of a tournament or shooting your best score and not fall apart, really go through it and feel great in every shot, even if your heart's pounding and you're nervous, get the confidence you deserve to have, the belief in yourself, have more fun, shoot lower scores with Conquer Your Golf Mind. So this is a 3-day program. So I pour into you and teach you for 90 minutes for 3 days in a row, starting February 18th. You also have your own personal coach. So I want to make sure you get the most out of this program. So where you can find more information is debbie-o'connell.com/conquer. So that's DEBBIE. And then the dash, that hyphen, O'Connell, OCONNELL.com/conquer. And here's a special code, happens to be Next on the Tee. And it doesn't matter, capital letters, small case, doesn't matter. Next on the Tee, all together, no spaces, to get $20 off the already crazy price of $97. So for just $77, wow. I wanted to make it a no-brainer, Chris. I want to teach as many people as possible to shoot their best scores, get out of their own way, and have more fun in golf. So Debbie-O'Connell /conquer, put in that code, Next on the Tee, no spaces, get your $20 off. So, that's way less than a golf lesson these days. And imagine
Indeed.
one course changing your whole game.
Yes. Talk about a no-brainer. That absolutely is one of them. And Debbie, how can our listeners always follow you, whether it's, on your website, on social media, plus get to hear you on your own show?
Oh, yes. Tee to Green is a radio show I co-host every Sunday at 10 a.m. with Jay Ritchie. It's on sportsbyline.com. It's also on iHeart. If you go on iHeart Radio, you can search the show and get some of the replays. But sportsbyline.com. For Tee to Green, we have guests on each week and just try to keep you informed with everything happening in golf. I recently had Stacey Lewis on the show, which was a really great interview. And then in the social media, just search my name, Debbie O'Connell, or Golf Positive. I have a YouTube channel. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. I'd love to hear from you. Send me a message. Let me know you heard me here with Chris, and let me know what I shared that you're using. Because I don't just want to come here and have fun with you, Chris. I really want to help your listeners play better golf. So I want to hear how it's helped them, and it'd be really fun.
Indeed. Debbie, it's always a blast when you're a part of the show. I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and be a part of it, and then for inviting our listeners to your wonderful program. In fact, you give them $20 off to do it. It's one of the biggest no-brainers of all time. So I hope we get this privilege of spending time with you again before too long, because like I say, every time you're a part of the show, the segment's fantastic.
Well, thank you so much, Chris. And obviously you make the show great. Congratulations on all of your success and all of the people you impact through this show. So thank you. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
I appreciate you, Debbie. All the best to you and your family. I look forward to catching up with you again soon.
You too.
See you, Debbie.
Bye-bye.
That is the great Debbie O'Connell, folks. I mean, how many great things did you just learn in the span of about 30 minutes? First of all, getting out there and being a part of Conquer Your Golf Mind. Go out there, debbie-o'connell.com/conquer. Put in the code next on the tee. You're going to get $20 off what's already a great deal. Now it's a fantastic no-brainer deal. Go out there and let Debbie help you get over some of the things that we all do, right? She talked about getting in our own way. That's a lot of what we do out on the golf course, isn't it? How many times you got out on the golf course and suddenly fallen apart, and then the next several holes after that, you play great? Like, what happened? Why did I double that last hole? Why did I get in my own way? Why did I get in my mind or do the silly things that I do, go in a bunker and go, oh, geez, right? And then you get down on yourself and you don't hit the next shot. You don't make a good swing. And the next thing you know, you've taken a par or potentially, at worst case scenario, maybe a bogey, and you've turned it into a double. Why do that, right? Debbie's right. Change your mindset. Make it a challenge. Do the things, and I love the idea of putting a walk-up song in your head or going into something with gratitude. You guys know me, right? A giant dose of vitamin G is always the best way to start your day, and it's probably the best way to carry yourself around a golf course. Be grateful that you're out there. Be grateful that you're there with your friends. Be grateful that you're in a beautiful setting. And then from there, be grateful for the great shots that you hit. And then take those and make those the mental images you use, not the old ones that didn't go the way that you wanted them to. But the fact that Debbie's going to teach you how to do that, how to conquer that golf mind, how to conquer that negative mindset, how to get yourself away from using your voice so your brain hears what's going on and going wrong with your golf swing. Get that out of your game and out of your head is just fantastic. Debbie is a wonderful. I mean, look, you don't become a top 50 LPGA instructor and win the awards that she has won, become a National Professional of the Year on accident. Debbie knows what she's talking about. She knows how to get you there. Why wouldn't you follow her? Why wouldn't you come and be a part of that Conquer Your Golf Mind session? Do all of those things. Follow her on social media. She's been a wonderful guest. Look, this is the 17th time I've had the privilege of having Debbie as part of the show from over the years. So we'll get her back again soon. You know we will. So we'll continue to build off of that. But follow her. Go be a part of that program. I'll get her back on the show again before too long. Coming up next is one of the great sports writers of our time, Chad Finn of the Boston Globe. Before Chad joins me, I want to remind you about our friends over at On Point Golf and their out-of-this-world On Point Golf Ball Marker. And if you don't have one, folks, you really need to go check it out at onpointgolf.us. Get the #1 ball marker in the game of golf. On Point is the only three-dimensional ball marker out there with alignment technology and a removable coin that is approved to use according to the rules of golf. As you know, putting is all about line and pace. Mark your ball with On Point, engage with your three-dimensional ball marker, and have more confidence in your line, execute the putt, and you're going to lower your scores. Do what the likes of Jim Furyk, PGA professionals, and amateurs alike are doing now. They use the #1 ball marker in golf and they lower their scores. You know Ken Duke and Thongchai JD. They won for the first time on the PGA Tour in 2023 and they were using an On Point ball marker. Get yours at onpointgolf.us and make more putts. And oh, by the way, You can also customize the removable coin for any club, event, or corporate outing. They make really great tee gifts and custom products. That's also going to help lower your score. I use On Point ball markers. Mine is black and gold, 3D black golf ball with a gold line down the middle to help me line up my putts. It's like having a 15th club in my bag. It's helped my game. Why wouldn't you let it help yours? Again, onpointgolf.us. See what I'm talking about. Order yours today. And folks, if you haven't tried 2 Under yet, you really need to. Why? Well, from the first tee to the clubhouse, 2 Under's Joey Patch is going to keep you comfortable and locked in all round or all day. Build your own bundle by going online to 2under.com. That's the number 2, UNDR.com, and you're going to save 20%. And are you tired of boring golf clothes? Well, Sunday Swagger's changing the game with premium performance apparel that delivers the look and feel of $100 polos for much, much less, while never sacrificing style for comfort. Their bold polos, shorts, and outerwear feature 4-way stretch and moisture-wicking fabric that moves with you, whether you're crushing drives or you're crushing happy hour. With over 300 unique designs and vibrant colors ranging from the bestsellers like Jawbreaker to exclusive collaborations like Guinness, Sunday Swagger offers something for everybody. And their matching prints for couples, families, and children are flying off the shelves. You might even recognize some Sunday Swagger designs in popular Hollywood movies and TV shows like Happy Gilmore 2. How about that? Sunday Swagger is guaranteed to turn heads and spark conversation. Visit sundayswagger.com and join the Sunday Club for exclusive drops and member benefits. Sunday Swagger. It's your swagger. Embrace it. Own it. Okay, now back in Next on the Tee with me is one of the great sports journalists and authors of our time, and that is Chad Finn. Chad is a reporter for the Boston Globe. He studied journalism at the University of Maine, where he was the sports editor at the Maine campus. Chad's column can be found every day in the sports section of the Boston Globe, plus on boston.com. In fact, when you go to boston.com and you click on the sports link, Chad has his own link. It goes Chad Finn, Red Sox, Celtics, Bruins, Patriots. He's an Epi Award finalist going back to 2012 and 13 for sports bloggers. The Epi Award honors the best in digital media. He's been named a top 100 follow in sports by Sports Illustrated and voted one of the most popular writers in Boston. He has a wonderful book available for both the Celtics and the Red Sox, where he has collected articles from the Boston Globe about the team, the Celtics from 1946 on, the Red Sox for the last 120 plus years. And he has been a wonderful friend over the last several years, and I couldn't be more excited and privileged that I get to spend some more time with him this week here on Next on the Tee. Hey, Chad, how are you, my friend?
I'm good, Chris. That's quite an intro. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Chad, before we get into all the Boston sports stuff, I want to lead off. We've got the USA hockey game going on right now in the Olympics. When the Olympics come back around, I mean, the 1980 U.S. hockey team and their win over the Soviet Union and the subsequent win over Finland to win the gold medal, to me, is the greatest thing that I have witnessed in sports. I've seen a lot of great things. You know, I'm from Pittsburgh. I've seen a lot of Steelers Super Bowls. I'm also a huge Red Sox fan, and 04 meant a great deal to me, as have the others this century. But that 1980 U.S. hockey run is the greatest thing I've ever seen. Where does it rank for you?
Probably number one. It would be number one in the if I could be at any sporting event in history, that would probably be it. I mean, there's some obvious competitors there. Going back to the Olympics of Jesse Owens or seeing Ali in Lewiston, Maine, or something like that. But to be in Lake Placid in 1980 and to be able to watch that happen live and be in that crowd in that tiny little arena, that would be the right up there, probably in that top spot among places I'd take a time machine to if I could. And that, it's coming from the perspective of somebody who's covered a lot of cool things in Boston sports. I was not a reporter when the Red Sox won in 2004. I was working at the Globe then. I just started at the Globe, but I was on the desk, working as a layout person and editor. That might be up there for ones that I could just go to as a fan. But in terms of all sporting events of all times, I think Lake Placid and the Olympic hockey team would be number one.
There are a lot of Boston ties on that team. You ever had a chance to talk to any of those guys?
Yeah, a few. One of my favorite things I've ever got to do, a couple of them. I covered the 2010 Olympics in Vancouver as part of our Globe team. As the first Olympics I covered. I did London in 2012 too. In 2010, it was the 30th anniversary of 1980. It was so Al Michaels was still with NBC then. He was there, and I got the chance to sit down. I hadn't met him before. I covered sports media for the Globe too, but I was new to the beat at that point in time. And I got the chance to sit down with him and talk about probably the most famous call in sports history. And he was incredibly gracious. He's told the stories 100 times, but he told them 101 for me. And that was a thrill just to go over that. And those same Olympics, I got to talk to Jim Craig, the goalie, obviously on the 1980 Olympic team. He was a Boston University guy, as were a handful of guys on that team. And he's an incredibly nice guy too, and appreciates how much this has resonated for 45 years now for American citizens and sports fans. Mike Eruzione is another who was very savvy about the career decisions he made after the Olympics, and really just sort of became a motivational speaker and a public speaker after that, recognizing how much impact his winning goal was going to have against the Soviet Union, and what the effect that would have on his life. And he's at BU all the time, works there, and does all kinds of events and stuff. I recently saw him at the Boston Sports Museum event at TD Garden, and he's always friendly and great at shaking hands and talking with people. So it's always a thrill to meet those guys, because I was 10 years old when that happened, and it was a sporting event that it can't happen now, just the way it was on television, where that game was on tape delay on TV. You heard rumors that maybe the U.S. had actually won the game, but everybody kind of kept the secret that knew. And so when it aired on tape delay, everybody watched it together. It had 35 million viewers, even though the outcome had already been decided. And it was just an event for sports fans in this country that really can never be matched in terms of the magnitude of it.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to interview Jim Craig as well a few years ago. He is a wonderful human being.
He's a nice guy. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I can't watch the replays, Chad, even to this day, of the last minute or so of that Soviet Union game without crying. I mean, a tear comes to my every single time, no matter what. I cry when that thing happens.
You know what's funny about that? Dryden came so close to stepping on Al Michaels' call.
Is that right?
Yeah, go back. If you listen to it again, he was saying something as Al was just going into his, I think he said unbelievable, right when, Al was going into, do you believe in miracles? Yes. But he came really close to talking over him, which I think Al would have chucked him out of the booth at that point.
Right. All right, moving on to sports in and around Boston, and there's so much going on right now, but we got to start with the Super Bowl. It was a great defensive battle for 3 quarters. What are your thoughts about how that game played out?
The broad view, the better team won. Very obviously, the team that should have won the game did. Seattle's defensive metrics all year suggested that they had one of the best defenses in history, and people are skeptical of that because it's not like Ed Reed and Ray Lewis or all those guys the 85 Bears had, or the teams you associate, the Giants teams of Lawrence Taylor that you associate with being the best defenses ever. They didn't have a lot of name recognition there, but what they had was a lot of outstanding, versatile players and a great scheme. And they just had the Patriots flummoxed from the beginning. They didn't know where the blitz was coming from. Nate Tice on Blue Sky had a really great breakdown of how confused the Patriots offensive line was basically from the get-go in that game about what Seattle was going to do blitz-wise. And they just overwhelmed them. And that kind of rattled Drake Maye, who was really, really poised all year. If people weren't familiar with him before the playoffs, he really did deserve to be in that MVP conversation. He had a spectacular season, but he wasn't quite ready for the moment on Sunday, and that Seattle defense got into his head a little bit, beat him up, and then he made some bad decisions, and never really was a competitive game because of that. But it was a learning experience for a young Patriots team that nobody expected to be there this year, and for Seattle it was kind of a culmination of a great season for their defense, and redemption for Sam Darnold at quarterback after with his fifth team and the way things went for him with the Jets. I think you got to feel pretty good for that guy. But from a Patriots perspective, it was disappointing, but maybe not entirely surprising. I think people recognize that could be one of the outcomes of that game.
So what's your sense of Drake Maye's mindset post the game? How much do you think this one performance is going to impact him going forward?
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see, right? We don't know. But from what we've seen from him so far in his 2 seasons, he's a resilient kid. I think people have forgotten how much of a leap he made this year. Last year, they really only won one full game where he started at quarterback. The Bears game where Caleb Williams got sacked 9 times and was just terrible. He made his own leap this season, but Drake Maye really improved by 2 or 3 years worth of progress, I think, this season. And again, one vote goes differently. He's the league MVP. We saw all season him elevating his game when the Patriots needed it, beating Buffalo in Week 5 on the road, their first really big win that suggested that they were a team to be reckoned with. Big comeback at Week 16 against the Ravens. People talk about his struggles in the playoffs, and they were real because he was getting pounded. But still, in that Texans game where he fumbled 4 times, he also threw 3 absolute darts for touchdowns. So I have no doubts about his talent. He just had his first great disappointment of his career, and we can't know how he responds to that. But from all we've seen, he's a really resilient kid. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He works hard. He's super competitive, and all those things should add up to this being a learning experience for him that benefits him in the long run.
Some are out there pointing to the Patriots' schedule as how they were able to get as far as they did. Were they a product of a weak schedule, or are they really good? They just, like you just said, had one bad offensive game.
Yes, partially the weak schedule for sure. It was one of the weaker schedules in a long, long time. But you know what? They were supposed to be the weak team on a lot of other teams' schedule, and they weren't. They went 17-4 all season. They won 3 playoff games. They won 10 in a row at one point. They won at Buffalo. They beat who was in front of them, and a lot of times they beat them handily. And that's all you can do. I think record-wise, they probably take a step back next year because it's going to be a lot tougher. They got to play at Green Bay and Minnesota, Chicago, Detroit. Playing a first-place schedule. Still got the 2 of Buffalo. It's going to be a lot harder next year in terms of level of competition. I think a good season for them next year is 11-6 or 12-5 and make another playoff run. But that by no means was the weak schedule the reason that they ended up in the Super Bowl. They took care of business week in and week out this season and just kept finding ways to win no matter who they were really playing.
If you're Mike Vrabel at this point, where do you go from here, looking ahead to the draft and free agency? Are there gaps that you think that they need to look at to fill, or are they just restocking a roster that's already, like we say, they got to the Super Bowl? Do they really have any gaps anywhere that needs attention?
Yeah, they have a bunch. It's really interesting. They had a tremendous offseason last year. They had a good draft. Will Campbell being their first round pick, who struggled terribly in the Super Bowl, but generally had a pretty good year. I think you can still jury's still out if he's a left tackle long term, but he's going to be a very good offensive lineman one way or the other if they have to move him to guard. And they did well after Travion Henderson and 10 touchdowns. And Craig Woodson was one of their best players, fourth round pick, one of their best players in the Super Bowl. They had a great draft, and they hit home run after home run in free agency. Almost everything they did worked out, starting with Milton Williams, who's an absolute game wrecker at defensive tackle. They got to do it again now. They've got to have another great draft to add to the quality depth on this roster and to fill a couple of spots that they still need help. I think they need help at linebacker. They're not that quick there. They could use another young receiver. Offensive line needs more help. Morgan Moses at right tackle is 34 years old. He had a good season, but he's not going to be here for the long haul. They need to figure out if Jared Wilson, their rookie left guard, is actually a center, and whether Garrett Bradbury will be the center for the long term. So those are areas where they need to spend money. And one of their bigger decisions is going to be whether they keep Stephon Diggs, whose salary goes way up in year 2 of this contract. He had a really good year, a big reason for their success, but he kind of disappeared in the playoffs, and didn't really do anything in the Super Bowl. It's going to be interesting to see if they go for an upgrade at receiver there and really try to get a number 1 in here for Maye, because one of the reasons Mike Vrabel was no longer the Titans coach, that he lost his job there, was he got furious when they traded A.J. Brown. And if the Eagles make A.J. Brown available, and he's had his issues there for sure, if they make him available, I can see the Patriots getting in line for that. So there's going to be changes. They just happen to need to be the right ones. We go back to 2001 with the Patriots with their incredible unforeseen win over the Rams in that Super Bowl. Well, they made a lot of bad decisions after that year. In 2002, they missed the playoffs, and they didn't really get that dynasty going until 2003 when they signed Rodney Harrison, Roosevelt Colvin, had a great draft in 2003. So hopefully these Patriots can avoid that 2002 thing and kind of expedite things and get on to like what they did in 2003 and really load up their roster, because they do have the money this offseason. And unlike in recent years, they're going to have guys who want to come here and play for them and play for Mike Vrabel and with Drake Maye. So they're in a really good spot.
One of the other controversies right now around Patriots history, if you will, is the snub that Bill Belichick got for going into the Hall of Fame. What are your thoughts around that? Is he paying for sins that people have a perception, all the, video stuff and everything else that went on? Is he paying for those by himself? Is it his relationship with the media? Everyone remembers we're on to Cincinnati and not being willing to answer all the questions. Why do you think he wasn't a first round Hall of Famer?
Yeah, I don't, I mean, number one, the process with the Hall of Fame is ridiculous. Belichick and Robert Kraft being on the same ballot as L.C. Greenwood, who retired in 1981, Ken Anderson, who retired in the late 80s, and who's the other? Roger Craig, who got in, who retired in like 1993. That's incongruous. Those guys shouldn't be competing against each other. It's they belong in different categories. Why is an owner going up against Ken Anderson? So the process there, it's going to get fixed. It's going to change, but those guys needing 80% of the vote, and you're only allowed to vote for 3 out of 5 of them, and they're all vastly different cases. That gets in the way of people being elected. The bigger issue is, I think, some sanctimony from voters. Tony Dungy, I would put on that list. Rodney Harrison called him out on Sunday for getting it wrong with Belichick, and I was happy to hear Rodney say that. I thought it was notable that at NBC media availability last week, Rodney was not there, and they said he was under the weather, which maybe he was, but I kind of look at it now and wonder if he just didn't want to go off on Dungy in front of a bunch of reporters.
Yeah.
I think that might have been protecting Rodney from himself more than anything else in the questions. But Dungy, he won't say if he voted for him or not, which tells you he didn't, right?
Yep.
The media thing with the reporters, I don't think really is that much of a factor. I mean, I've dealt with Belichick, for a good portion of his time here, and you knew what you were going to get, grunts and snorts and not a lot of illuminating answers. But if he respected a reporter, he would sometimes go off to the side and explain things further. Joe Mazzulla does that with the Celtics beat too. He'll do one thing on camera, sort of to, I think, present it that way for his players. But if he respects your knowledge and the question you're asking, he will further explain things. And I don't think the media, at least here in New England, sort of loathes him like the national perception of him being disliked. Now, do we like dealing with Mike Vrabel a lot better? Heck yes. He actually treats people like human beings most of the time. But, Bill, I don't think it was really the reporters that held it against Bill. I think it was more the guys who had to compete against him.
Let's switch gears now over to the Red Sox. They've reported to training camp. Now, this is a team that was probably a big bat away from an even deeper run in the playoffs last season. They didn't sign any of the big home run hitting free agents, but Breslow did sign Ranger Suarez. He's brought in Sonny Gray, Johan Oviedo, Wilson Contreras, Caleb Durbin in the recent trade. And as I said to people, they may not have gotten the big bat, but it feels like they almost have an entire lineup that could all hit somewhere between 15 and 30 home runs. Do you think they've done enough to compete with Toronto and New York for the AL East title and ultimately a shot at the World Series?
I think I wanted the big bat too. I wanted Pete Alonso.
Didn't we all?
They didn't make a competitive offer. I think he would have been a great fit, even though you look at some of his career comps and they're a little scary, like Chris Davis. He might age faster than the Orioles are expecting, but he's still a masher right now, and he would have fit right in the middle of this Red Sox lineup that needs somebody like him since they salary dumped Rafael Devers at the middle of last season. The Red Sox have a versatile lineup. I really like the Caleb Durbin pickup. He good defensive player, can run, just a good, solid all-around ball player. And they didn't give up a whole heck of a lot to get him in that deal either. I wasn't a big Kyle Harrison guy, so that's good. I think adding Isaiah Kiner-Falefa helps them in a super utility role. He's a good defensive player, great clubhouse guy. But they still have to sort it out between where Marcelo Myers, is he going to play every day? He hasn't even hit lefties in AAA yet, let alone the majors. But he's a very talented kid. They wanted him to get stronger this offseason. It sounds like he did. Maybe he's ready for a breakthrough. Romy Gonzalez has a sore shoulder already. He had a really good year last year. He's probably somebody he's absolutely going to play against left-handed pitching and maybe even get some more time against righties. But there's a lot to shake out in their infield. They've still got at least one too many outfielders. I thought they would deal one of those guys for maybe an infield bat, but it just didn't line up. So you've got Anthony, Jaron Duran, Ceddanne Rafaela, and Wilyer Abreu, who Red Sox really like. And they're going to give him some at-bats against lefties this year. For those three outfield spots, four really good players. And then Yoshida, maybe Tristan Casas, if he proves that he's healthy, are in the mix there for some DH at-bats. So it feels like they've got an extra position player or two that they could probably wheel to make the roster a little bit more balanced as we get into the season. Maybe they trade for that power bat at some point during the year. But it's a decent lineup and up and down. I think they're built to win a lot of 4-3 ball games. The starting pitching could be the best in the American League. If Suarez fits in right away, and Sonny Gray is what he was in St. Louis. So it looks like a good team. It's certainly not a power-laden one. Breslow acknowledged yesterday that they might not have a 20 home run hitter in the lineup. I don't think that's true. I think Anthony gets there pretty easily for one, but it wasn't a disappointing offseason. It just went in a different direction, I think, than people anticipated.
Well, to your point around Yoshida and Casas, I mean, with this lineup that they have and the extra outfielder that they have, and if they kind of cycle through those outfielders, maybe getting a day off in the field and DHing, I mean, are there at-bats for Yoshida? Are there at-bats when Casas gets healthy and maybe they start him off down in Worcester And then
Yeah.
KC with Campbell down there, as well. I mean, there's just, and it's a great problem to have. It seems like they've got too many hitters, to your point, for the number of at-bats that are going to be out there so that guys can get regular at-bats and actually be tradable. When I look at Casas, the guy's got a world of potential, and he's such a big, strong kid. But if you don't give him regular at-bats, I don't know what kind of numbers he can put up. And with his injuries and in Casey with his struggles, last season after the first month, you got to be able to showcase guys to get some value out of them. I just don't know that they're the at-bats to give them so that anyone might be interested.
Yeah, I think they try to move Yoshida if they can. They probably won't be able to, so he'll be on the roster as sort of a DH bench role guy. He's always been a good pinch hitter, though, which is probably not the role he wants, but maybe he's a bat off the bench, occasional DH against righties. I think you're right that Casas starts the year in Worcester and proves that he's healthy and finds his rhythm as a hitter there. He still has a lot of potential, but just the brutal injuries are starting to add up with him, even for a young player. I gotta say, I hate to say it, I'm not really buying Campbell. He was so good last year at the beginning, but he's a guy with a strange swing, and pitchers exposed a couple of different holes in it, and it sounds like he hasn't really completely closed those. And he struggled a little bit power-wise when he got sent down last year. I hope it happens for him because he was dynamic in 2024, but I have my skepticism, and he's a poor defensive player on top of that. They're looking at him as an outfielder, but where the at-bat's going to come there, and that's less as an injury. So anything they got out of him this year, anything they get out of Campbell this year, I think is probably going to be a bonus, and to me, a little bit of a surprise, unfortunately. But yeah, you're right. Alex Cora said that if Raphael and Abreu in the lineup, they're going to be in there defensively. They'll be in the outfield, and that makes sense. They're both Gold Glove winners, but so that means Anthony will get some time at DH. That means Duran will probably get some time at DH, and we'll see where those other at-bats come from. But Yoshida will get a couple there too, and they always like to cycle guys in there to kind of give them a little bit of a defensive break once in a while.
Speaking of Roman Anthony, there has been a ton of hype and expectation laid on a young guy's shoulder from what we saw from him last June on until the injury. Do you have any concerns about the weight of those expectations and what that impact might be on him?
Not the weight of the expectations whatsoever. This kid's about as calm and cool collected as you can possibly be. He was phenomenal last year when he came up. That home run he hit off Paul Skeens. I don't think three people on earth can do that. Clutch against the Yankees. Yankees fans found out who he was pretty quickly last year. His talent is, all-star MVP level, someday MVP level. It's just a matter of him staying healthy. The back injury last year is a little concerning. You never want any kind of back injury to a hitter. Hopefully that is behind him. Took the wind out of the sails of their season a little bit when he got hurt last year, because it was, other than watching Garrett Crochet pitch, watching Anthony hit was the most fun thing about that team last season. So hopefully he can play 150 or so games, stay healthy, and if he does that, he's going to put up huge numbers. He's that good.
Do you think he should be the choice to replace Corbin Carroll on Team USA for the World Baseball Classic?
Yeah, that's a good list of guys they're considering. I mean, James Wood would be an awesome choice. He's really fun to watch too. But not only do I think Anthony should be the choice, I think he would probably go there and introduce himself a little bit as a guy who's really a star already. I'd love to see it happen for him. I don't know how the Red Sox feel about that, if they think it's better for him just to be in camp this spring and to make sure he's doing everything he can to be 100% healthy after getting shut down last season for the last several weeks. But we'll see what they do, what Team USA does, and whether the Red Sox are cool with it. But I'd love to see him get that opportunity. I think he's ready for it.
Where do you see Tanner Houck fitting into this pitching staff? He's a guy, to me, obviously was an all-star a couple of seasons ago, But my concern about Houck is I feel like he's just like Whitlock. I feel like they tried to put him into the starting rotation. I think he wanted to be in the rotation. I think Houck wanted to be in the rotation, and that didn't work out. It caused injuries for them, and Whit is a lockdown eighth inning guy. To me, that's where Tanner Houck should be, in a seventh inning setup kind of role. He comes in the seventh, Whitlock in the eighth, Chapman in the ninth. I think that's a heck of a bullpen. If he's healthy, where do you see Tanner Houck?
Yeah, they can afford to be patient with him because you hate to say they have a lot of pitching depth, because when you think you have a lot of pitching depth, things suddenly go wrong and you don't. But it sure looks on paper like they do with the top three, the Crochet and Suarez and Gray, and the two young guys and Tolle and Connolly early, who looked so good in the playoffs. I love watching that kid pitch. He reminds me of one of the guys out of the 80s that didn't throw 150 miles an hour, but just painted the corners. Really knows how to pitch for a young pitcher. They've got Oviedo from Pittsburgh, who they really like. Cutter Crawford is coming back, so they've got real options there. Patrick Sandoval, they gave $18 million to rehab. He might be in the mix here, so there's real no obvious spot for Houck. It's not like they're just going to slide him back into the rotation, especially given how bad of a season he had last year before the injury. Who knows if his elbow was bothering him longer than before he let on that it was. But he was bad, and there's no job security for him. It wouldn't shock me if he works his way back in the bullpen. He's far better against right-handed hitters than left-handed hitters anyway. He could probably be a real weapon out there. He probably doesn't want to do that because he's been an all-star as a starting pitcher, but it's really the reset button with him because of the injury and because of the quality of the pitching that they have on this team right now. So I think he's a guy they really take it easy with and ease him back into the major leagues when he's ready. And I'm not sure that means a rotation spot.
Yeah, I kind of view him the same way I view Garrett Whitlock. I mean, Whit was outstanding in the bullpen. Then he wanted to get into the starting rotation, and he had some decent starts here or there, but not great. And now you put him back into the bullpen after his injuries, and he's lights out in the eighth inning. I mean, I see Tanner in the kind of the same way. Started out in the bullpen, really good, wanted to get into the rotation. To your point, had an all-star first half of the season, but it's been downhill since then. I'd sure love to see them go, 7, 8, 9, Houck, Whitlock, Chapman.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Whitlock was so good last year. I mean, just the absolute lockdown. And then Chapman had, I think the best relief season I've ever seen with the Red Sox was Koji Uehara in 2013. But, Chapman was pretty close last year. He was just automatic. And you wonder if it'll be the same with him because of his age. But he should still be pretty good. He still dials it up there. And is better command and control than he had as a younger pitcher. So I think they're pretty good shape there in the back of the bullpen. If they added Houck at some point, as a righty specialist or setup guy, he could be a really good asset for them.
Speaking of Chappie, I mean, the guy is an absolute specimen. But can he continue to dial it up at 100 plus at his age?
Well, he can probably spare a mile an hour or two, right? I mean, he touches 103 still when he feels like it, when he really is trying to light it up and get a punch out. And, physical fitness freak, you can tell he looks like an NFL type tight end. Again, probably better feel for pitching than he had as a younger guy. And, he had a 117 ERA last year, struck out a ton of guys. Even if he slips a little bit, still should be one of the better closers in the American League. And, whatever complaints people have about the way Craig Breslow puts his team together. I mean, last offseason, he signed 3 guys that made the All-Star team and, or traded for them, and Chapman, Crochet, and now Chicago Cub Alex Bregman. So, he's Breslow had a pretty good eye for bringing guys in last year, and other than Crochet, Chapman was probably his biggest success. He turns 38 in a couple of weeks here, so he'll slow down at some point. But given his dedication to working out, maybe it won't be this year.
Speaking of Bregman, how close do you think they were to signing him? Did they not believe what the Cubs were willing to offer? Did they think that was just some positioning by his team to say what he was offered by the Cubs, or was it something else?
Yeah, it sounds like they misread his market for a while and didn't really believe that he had another team out there that was willing to go to the lengths that they were willing to go to sign him, which probably 4 years at 1.5 years ultimately. Who knows when the Cubs got involved, whether they came in late, whether the Red Sox might have been right about him not having an offer out there equal to what the Red Sox were willing to do until a little bit later into the process. But the fact is, the Cubs gave him the no trade. The Red Sox wouldn't, and they tried to. Bregman basically called their bluff. If they give him the no trade, he would have been back here. They didn't do it. I think they thought he would come back anyway, and instead he went to Chicago. And now we're hearing all the reports out of camp about what a great fit he is with the Cubs, just like we did last spring with the Red Sox.
Chad, just a couple more before I let you go. And we talked about this last time. You've got a couple of wonderful books about two of the iconic teams there in town with the Celtics and the Red Sox. Remind everybody about what you put together, both talking about the Celtics from 1946 to the present and the history of the Red Sox.
Yeah, we have put out 2024, I think, was the Red Sox book, which is a Boston Globe story of the Red Sox, which is a deep dive into our archives through the mutual history of the Globe and the Red Sox. The Globe has actually been around longer than the Red Sox have, so we covered them from the very beginning. And so we have the book is a compilation of stories from throughout their history of all the big moments and transactions and wins and the agonizing losses too, and profiles on the great players, all from the pages of the Globe. It's about 400 articles in the book entirely. It runs through David Ortiz getting inducted in the Hall of Fame, so maybe we need a little update here in the next year or two, especially if the Sox have some success. And then the Celtics book came out a year and a half later, caught the end of the ends with the 2024 championship. And again, that's just Boston Globe stories of that were written at the time about the all through Celtics history. Lots of great profiles in there about Bill Russell and Larry Bird. And hardest thing putting together that book was looking at the multiple great stories on the same topics by writers like Bob Ryan, Lee Montville, Jackie McMullen, and on through the years, and trying to decide which one of Dan Shaughnessy deciding which one of the articles to use. But the story of both those teams' history are told in this book through the writing of the Globe. And it was an honor to kind of curate that and also kind of write the connective tissue to the book, writing the bridges between chapters and figuring out what the chapters and the eras were for both of those books. So hopefully I get to do one for the Patriots soon. I think that would be pretty fun to do.
I got to ask you one question going back to the Red Sox book. There's an article by Ray Fitzgerald from November 14th, 1978, and it talks about the Red Sox lack of history and having developed bad business of alienating fans into an art form. And they've done it several times during my lifetime, and particularly when you look at some of the great players that they traded away and the return or lack thereof that they got. I mean, I go back to the 70s when they traded away Cecil Cooper and Fred Lynn, who's been on this show several times, Jeff Bagwell, Mookie Betts, obviously last year with Devers, letting Louis Tiant somehow sign with the Yankees in 79, letting Fish get away to the White Sox. When you look at what they got back in return in a lot of those deals, boy, talk about the word agonizing. It's agonizing to read and remember what they got back. Why are the Red Sox so historically bad at evaluating the talent return that they are getting for the superstars they're giving up.
Yeah, it's we could talk about the Mookie Betts trade through that lens too, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think the Devers deal is going to look all that good since they've already moved on from three of the guys that they got in that trade. It's funny you say that though. There's Ray Fitzgerald column in that book about losing Tiant to the Yankees. That is probably my favorite article in the book, and it ends with him saying, "I just want to go stick my head in the oven," which is probably how captured how most Bostonians are feeling at that time. Luke cutting the heart out of the Red Sox and having him go to the Yankees. Steinbrenner was happy to do that. I don't think Haywood Sullivan is reviled enough in Red Sox history for basically what he did with the mid '70s teams. The just absolutely loaded with talent, and by '81, Fisk is gone, Lynn's gone, Rick Burleson's gone, Tiant's gone, and they got it. Getting Carney Lansford back from the Angels and the Hobson Burleson deal was pretty good, but losing Fisk was an absolute shame that he should not have been able to overcome as the general manager of the Red Sox. Trading Lynn, if Lynn had, Fred will tell you, I'm sure he has, if he spent his whole career here, he regrets that he didn't. And if he did, he would be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, he had like 340 at Fenway, over the course of his career. So, that when I was putting the book together and putting that particular chapter on the '70s together, I found myself getting angry and angrier as I had to read the stories from the time, from the moment when Fisk left and Tiant left, and reliving being 11 years old and not understanding why they were letting these guys that I love go. But turns out it was just inept management with the Red Sox, and it was a team at the time led by an inept manager too, and Don Zimmer. So pretty regrettable. They should have won a World Series long before they did.
Indeed. And, they brought Theo Epstein back into the fold, but I haven't heard much about Theo since the time he came back to help out the front office. You guys hear anything about him? What's his role?
Yeah, Shaughnessy says he's kind of laying low till the heat's off. Heat's off Breslow. You might see him a little bit more when the team is actually winning couple of playoff rounds again, not getting knocked out of playoffs by the Yankees. But that's kind of a cynical look at it, kind of a funny look. Really, he's just back here in a role with Fenway Sports Group where he's more involved in the business interests than the baseball interests. I'm sure he's a sounding board for Breslow if he wants one and needs one. Breslow worked for him with the Cubs, and they clearly know each other, respect each other, but with Theo, it's more involved with the various interests that John Henry and the Fenway Sports Group have. So he's not the guy scouring the waiver wire or anything like that at this point.
Is he the greatest GM in the history of GMs?
Oh, I think so, right? For what he did with the Red Sox and the Cubs,
right?
At a time when there's so much to sort through as a general manager, the financial implications, the analytics that you have to know, the competence of the other general managers nowadays, whereas you could always count on a few nitwits for decades, through now with sabermetrics and all the technology everybody has, and all the Ivy League guys that are running front offices now. Maybe that's gone too far, but you can't argue that it's a lot of really, really smart baseball people, lots of smart people running teams, and so it's harder and harder to be the smartest guy. And Theo was the smartest general manager for multiple seasons of his career. He's going to soar into the Hall of Fame, and he should.
Chad, before I let you go, remind our listeners again how they can go out and get copies of both books, plus follow you online and on social media.
Yeah, your friendly neighborhood bookstore should have them. Yeah, Barnes and Noble and the independent places. It's on Amazon. I don't really like Amazon that much these days, but it's easily purchased on Amazon as well. And um, Black Dog and Leventhal's publisher. You can find it on the publisher page too, but pretty readily available. And I always appreciate it if and when people pick them up. I've got nice feedback on both of the books, and it's a great honor to do both of them.
Chad, speaking of great honors, it's always a privilege to get to spend some time with you and have you as part of the show. You're fantastic, my friend. I hope we get this privilege again with you pretty soon.
Absolutely, Chris. Always great talking to you. Glad to chat anytime.
Take care, Chad. All the best to you and your family. We'll catch up soon.
All right, man.
See you, Chad.
See you, Chris.
That is the great Chad Finn, folks. They don't come better than that guy as a sports journalist, as an author and a writer, and just as a human being. What a wonderful guy Chad is, and he has been so good to me over the years, been such a wonderful part of both this show and Thursday Night Tailgate in the past as well. His depth of knowledge, the things that he has been a part of, written about, witnessed, just fantastic. You can't talk Boston sports nowadays. I mean, he mentioned some great names that are out there still with Boston sports and associated with the great things that have happened over the last several decades. But I feel like he kind of took the baton from some of them and has carried it forward, and he's done it with such grace and style. I'm just so thankful for Chad for being a part of the show and the things that he has shared and the stories he has shared with us and then put in those books. So hopefully when the Red Sox get off to a really good start and we have an opportunity to catch up with Chad a little bit later on in the baseball season. All right, my friends, it is time for me to put a bow on this special episode of Next on the Tee. My sincere thanks go out again to Debbie O'Connell and Chad Finn for joining me. Coming up on the next episode, you've heard me say this before, but this episode was special. I kind of wanted to slide it in here. So on the next episode will be Scott McCarron, Julie Inkster, Dr. Bob Winters, and Dave Stockton Jr. It's a fantastic show. I hope you'll come back and press play on that one as well. I want to thank our friends again over at Trib Live for being such wonderful partners and for hosting this show on their site. For the latest news from Western Pennsylvania and beyond, including your favorite sports, go to triblive.com. You can find this show by clicking on the sports section tab of triblive.com. It's right there on the homepage of the sports section. Or you can find Next on the Tee by typing in podcast.triblive.com. The show is also available out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, Good Pods, Amazon Music, golfnewsnet.com. And folks, as you guys know, the algorithms are everything. If you wouldn't mind going out on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and rate the show, it would really help me out. It would really help the show out for visibility. And like I say, algorithms pick up everything. They are looking for those ratings. If you wouldn't mind going out there and rating the show 5 stars, it would mean a whole lot to me and for the growth of the show. Folks, I am so grateful for each and every one of you. As you guys know, I just think you are the greatest supporters in the history of podcasts, bar none. I'm thankful for you for being here each and every week. Until next time, hit 'em straight, my friends.